Will Arch Manning be one and done at Texas? That's the question everyone is asking. Steve Sarkisian gave his answer earlier this week. We've got it for you on today's episode of Locked On Longhorns. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are locked on to the Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, BK Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin native, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell your Longhorn friends about Locked On, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. We will preview number one Texas baseball's huge road series against Arkansas a little bit later. But first, maybe the biggest question surrounding the Texas football program. Will Arch Manning leave for the NFL after the 2025 season? Some mock drafters have been releasing their way too early 2026 NFL mock drafts this week. Yeah, way too early. I agree. And most of them have Arch Manning going somewhere in the first round. A few of them, including one from CBS Sports that we referenced yesterday, has Arch Manning as the first overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft. Of course, Manning is going into his third year at Texas, meaning he will be eligible for the draft at the conclusion of this season. So, will he stay or will he go? Not quite the lyrics to the Clash, but a similar question. Steve Sarkisian was asked that very question during a fan Q&A at the Houston Touchdown Club luncheon earlier in the week, and he said, quote, "Here's what I hope. I hope he's got a really hard decision to make on about January 21st. That means we played a long time. That means we probably had a really good season. And that means he's trying to figure out, do I want one more year in the burnt orange or is it time to go to the NFL? I hope it's a really, really hard decision. I hope that it's not a no-brainer to come back to school. You know what I mean?" And quote. So there was Sark again earlier this week. Why January 21st? Well, the national championship game will be played on January 19th. Sark obviously hopes that his team will be a part of that, and he wasn't shy in saying that. And I think we all hope the exact same thing. I want to have my cake and I want to eat it too, right? What's the point in having a cake if you can't eat it, right? That's the point. I hope Arch Manning's decision has already been made. I hope that Arch is going to be here for at least 2 more years, regardless of what happens this fall. And I also hope that Texas is playing and winning that game on January 19th. And I also hope that NFL pundits are questioning Arch's decision to return to Texas for the 2026 season. Because if they are, kind of like what Sark was alluding to, that means Arch Manning played well enough to be a top 3 to 5, maybe even the top 1 pick in next year's draft. If NFL people, the Mel Kipers, the Daniel Jeremiahs, the Todd McShays of the world, if they are questioning Arch's decision to return to Texas for one more season, then that's good news. If they're not questioning that, and it's obvious that Arch needs another year of college football, well, that's not as good of news. That's what I want, and I think that's what every Texas fan wants, right? Arch balls out, Texas wins it all this year, and the Horns get the opportunity to run it back next year. We all wanted Vince Young to come back for the 06 season so the Horns could compete for another title and go back-to-back. He didn't. He went to the NFL. The Horns weren't as good. And, well, we all know the story from there. So, yeah, we want the championship part, of course. That goes without saying. But we want the run it back part too. That's the cake, and that's eating it too. And I've been told numerous times by multiple people whom I trust that the plan has always been for Arch Manning to be at Texas for 4 years. And that was the Manning family plan. That wasn't the Steve Sarkisian, I want Arch to be here for 4 years because he's really good, so I'm going to speak it into existence type of plan. That's what I've been told, again, by multiple sources, that the Manning family wanted to do when Arch originally committed to Texas back in high school. The Manning family wants to give Arch time to fully develop before going to the league. And of course, you look at the family history. Peyton Manning stayed 4 years at Tennessee. He actually started for 3 seasons in Knoxville. He played a good amount his freshman year too, but then took over in 95, was the starter in 95, 96, and 97 before taking his talents to the league. Same thing with the other uncle, Eli. Stayed 4 years at Ole Miss. Same deal. Played some as a freshman, then took over as the starter as a sophomore, and was QB1 in Oxford for 3 seasons. That strategy worked out pretty well for both of them, I'd say. I mean, both ended up being number 1 overall picks in the NFL draft. Both of them won multiple Super Bowls. One of them's already in the Hall of Fame. The other one is going to be in the Hall of Fame in the not too distant future. I think that's what the family would like to happen to Arch. I'd like to see that as well. By the way, Arch Manning, if he stays 4 years at Texas, that's only 2 years as the starting quarterback. Of course, he's already been here for 2 years, and he's been the backup to Quinn Ewers the past couple of seasons. Could he stay here for 3 years and get 3 years as the starting quarterback at Texas? That's what Peyton did at Tennessee. That's what Eli did at Ole Miss. Could that happen here in Austin? That's very, very wishful thinking. I think most of us, myself included, would just sign up for 2 years of Arch as the starter, especially if he's as good as we think he is going to be. We talked about a few mock drafters putting Arch Manning in their 2026 mocks. One very well-known mock drafter, Lance Zerline of NFL.com, a guy I worked with at ESPN 97.5 in Houston. Good dude. Shout out LZ. He posted a series of tweets this week about Arch's future. The first tweet reads, quote, Arch Manning has played in 9 games over 2 years with just 2 starts and has thrown 95 total passes. Peyton and Eli both played 4 years of college ball. NIL is making college QBs multimillionaires. Why do people think that Arch is going to be in the 2026 draft? End quote. That was the first tweet. Zerline went on. In another tweet, quote, everyone loves bringing up money and second contract, and they really lose sight of what that family cares about most, which is winning at the highest level possible. The only way to do that is to develop as a quarterback. I'm having a hard time understanding why people can't recognize that some quarterbacks aren't just chasing money. His goal is to win a Super Bowl. The best way to do that is to become the best quarterback you can. The best way to do that is to play more college football against SEC competition. I don't think you understand what the long-term goal is, end quote. I don't think Lance was talking to you. I think he was talking to Gen Pop and all of those other mock drafters out there who seemingly think that Arch will be one and done as the starter at Texas. Lance is a very reputable guy. He is very plugged in. He's giving his opinion in those tweets, but it is a very informed opinion from people that he's talked to around the league. I trust him. I trust my other sources who have told me that, again, the plan is for Arch to be here for 4 years. Let him develop. He and his family aren't hurting for money, that's for sure. And look, Arch Manning himself won't ever be hurting for money at Texas. Like Lance said, in the NIL era, these quarterbacks are multimillionaires, and it feels like Arch is inking a new NIL deal seemingly by the week. What does he have? Red Bull. He's got Viore. I think that's how to pronounce it. He's got the Uber Waymo self-driving car bit. I mean, we haven't even gotten to, I guess today's May 1st, but we haven't even gotten to the summer yet. And Arch Manning already has 3 major NIL deals, and hell, he might have 1 or 2 more that I'm not remembering off the top of my head. Point is, the Manning family isn't struggling for money, so that's not something that he has to consider. You stay at Texas, you learn from Steve Sarkisian, who's one of the best quarterback coaches in the game. You get some experience against SEC competition under your belt. There's a ton of SEC guys who will be playing in the league at some point down the road. If you're Arch Manning, you want to make that jump from Saturdays to Sundays as easy as possible. Rushing into the NFL for the sake of just getting to the league as quick as you can could hurt in the long term. And again, this is a long long-term decision. The Manning family has a history of doing this football thing a certain way, and it's worked out pretty well. People call them the first family of football for a reason. I think that is going to continue. So I expect Arch to be here for 2 years. Now, in saying that, look, of course, if Arch goes out and wins the Heisman and Texas wins the national championship and Arch Manning is a lock to be the number 1 overall pick next year and the Browns don't own the number 1 overall pick next year, I'll be a little nervous at the end of the season thinking that, well, he's already accomplished pretty much everything there is to accomplish in college. And it seems like he's ready for the league. Why not go to the league? Those thoughts will creep into my mind. But even then, I still think Arch would come back. Maybe if the Saints are the worst team in football and they have the number 1 pick, maybe that changes things because Arch, of course, is from Louisiana and his grandpa played there and all of those things. But again, I still believe Arch is in this thing for at least 2 more seasons. And if he's not, look, that's a trade-off I think we'd all take, right? Heisman Trophy. More importantly, a national championship. You get to brag about your school having the number 1 overall pick in a draft. That's pretty damn good right there. But again, back to the metaphor. Have your cake and eat it too. I want both of those things. I want Arch to have that season in 2025 and then have that exact same season. Hell, an even better season in 2026. I'm greedy. Sue me. Comment below with your thoughts. What do you think? Arch Manning, is he one and done as the Texas starter? Do you think he's here for 2025 and 2026? Maybe even 2027 as well? That's become a big story and a big talking point for a lot of folks after the conclusion of the 2025 NFL draft. And I'm glad somebody asked Steve Sarkisian about it. Gives us an excuse to talk about it right here on Locked On Longhorns. Hey, speaking of the NFL draft, Texas had 12 players picked last weekend. They also had 5 more sign UDFA deals with NFL teams. With all that's departing, does the experience of this Texas team need to be questioned? Steve Sarkisian also gave his thoughts on that, and we've got some sound from the head coach next, right here on Locked On Longhorns. But first, a word for our friends at Amazon. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you are ready to go. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, including EA Sports College Football 25 and the new Call of Duty, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. You don't need a console anymore. You can game right there on your Amazon device. And of course, with Amazon, they've got all of the content you can stream all of the time, from Netflix to YouTube. Yeah, you can watch these episodes on your Amazon Fire Stick device. They've got you covered. Hulu, ESPN Plus, all of those great things. You could try out Xbox games without that big investment into a console. If you're looking to get into gaming or you're looking to make gaming a little bit easier, again, Fire TV Stick 4K devices have you covered. So head over to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K, Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and Fire TV Cube. One more time, Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On. Welcome back to Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. Everyone knows by now that Texas had 12 players picked in the 7-round NFL draft. That is the most in the modern era in school history, and of course, the third most amongst colleges in 2025. With all that is leaving, does Texas have enough returning to still compete for SEC and national championships this coming year? Well, earlier this week, Steve Sarkisian was asked that very question, and here's what he had to say about his team's experience.
And so the idea that, yes, we lost some veteran players, but of the 25 high school kids we signed, 22 of them were on campus. Now, 21 of them were in spring ball with us, and Jonah was obviously doing baseball and then coming to a little bit of football, but not a ton. So, and then with the 5 transfers that came for spring, we got those guys pretty far along now. So now when summer rolls around, you know, I've got a handful of high school kids and I've got a handful of transfers that maybe don't know all the nuances of what we do, but really the bulk of our team now does. And so we should be able to hit the ground running pretty good in June and July, and be pretty aggressive with that. And also I think, what we're able to do this winter and spring is really start to push some guys to a leadership role that maybe weren't quite there yet. And now we feel very comfortable about where they're at in the program that they can handle that this summer.
I don't know who was clearing their throat towards the end of that answer, but that was pretty disgusting. But Steve Sarkisian doesn't sound very concerned about the quote-unquote lack of experience with this Texas football team. And he said it. You've got 21 early enrollee freshmen, 22 if you include Jonah Williams. Half of the transfer class was here for the spring. So by my count, Texas will only be adding 8 people to the roster this summer. You've got the 3 freshmen who were not here for winter and spring, Nick Townsend, the 4-star tight end, and the Coleman brothers, Jordan and Devin, who are a couple of offensive linemen from Cedar Hill. And then, of course, the 5 spring portal pickups, Emmett Mosley, the 5th, Jack Endries, Levon Johnson, Murad Watson, and the kicker, Mason Shipley. Everybody else has been here. They've got the playbook. They went through winter workouts. They've been working out with Torrey Becton. They went through spring practice. They know the system. They know each other. All of those good things. So the Horns are losing a lot, and the guys that are gone will not be easy to replace. I mean, 3 first-round picks in the mix. But number one, so is everybody else. I mean, Ohio State, who beat you in the CFP, they had 14 draft picks. Georgia, the only other team that beat you last season, had 13 draft picks. So you look around the country, all of the good teams are going through this. Hell, Texas went through this last year. They had 11 guys drafted. They responded by getting back to the college football playoff semifinal. So everyone else is going through this. You went through this last year. You did just fine. And then number 2, that was a long number 1. Just like I have a couple of beers for how long that number 1 was. Number 2, in terms of experience, look, we'll start with the defense. I mean, this defense has more than enough experience coming back. I mean, I looked at a projected depth chart this morning. Here's a potential starting 11 for the Longhorns this fall. Ethan Burke, senior. Cole Brevard, redshirt senior. Travis Shaw, redshirt junior. Colin Simmons, sophomore. Anthony Hill, junior. Trey Moore, senior. Leon Galafau, junior. Jalen Gilbo, senior. Michael Taft, redshirt senior. Derek Williams, redshirt sophomore. Manny Muhammad, junior. The only underclassman that I mentioned was Colin Simmons, who plays like a senior. Hell, that guy plays like an NFL veteran already. But you've got 2 redshirt seniors in there. You've got 3 true seniors in there. Anthony Hill and Manny Muhammad are only juniors, but they're going into their 3rd seasons as starters here at Texas. So you've got experience at all 3 levels on the defensive side of the football, and most of that experience is at Texas. Obviously, Brevard and Travis Shaw and Trey Moore are transfers, those first 2 guys here for their first seasons at Texas. But those guys are all 21, 22 years old. They've played college ball. Their bodies are matured and developed. Those guys know what it takes to get through the grind of a college football season. You flip over to the offense, a little bit more of a question because you have less returning starters on that side. But still, Arch Manning going into his 3rd year with the program. Quintravion Wisner, 3rd-year guy. C.J. Baxter, 3rd-year guy. DeAndre Moore, 3rd-year guy. DJ Campbell, Cole Hudson, and Neto Umeozulu, all 4th-year guys. You've got a couple of seniors and a redshirt junior there. Jack Endries, your Cal transfer. He's played a few years of college football. So again, a lot of guys, not as many who have started, but a lot of guys who have at least, number 1, been on this roster, or in Endries' case, been on a college football roster for multiple years. So the Longhorns are in a position of luxury to where they're not going to have to rely on youth and experience. You get down to the 2 deep and the 3 deep, sure, you'll have some freshmen and some redshirt freshmen in the mix, but a lot of the guys, hell, the majority of guys who will be suiting up for the Horns in 2025 and actually playing significant roles are guys who have been a part of back-to-back college football playoff semifinal runs and have made it to back-to-back conference title games. So they know what it takes to have success. Again, they know what you need to do to keep your body and mind right for the grind of a long season. And of course, college football is now longer than it's ever been. So that's the good news. Again, a lot of dudes will be elevated into starting jobs this year, but most of the guys who will be taking those new responsibilities were here these past couple of seasons. They've got the experience, and also they've got a bitter taste in their mouths with the way each of these last 2 seasons ended. Hopefully that gives them some extra motivation to find 2 more wins and bring a national championship home to Texas for the first time in a couple of decades. So, yeah, Sark was asked about experience. He didn't sound too concerned. I'm not very concerned. Most of these guys are already here, and most of these guys have already been here for these past 2 successful seasons. So I think the Longhorns have more than enough in the tank to make another deep run this fall and hopefully into January as well. All right, we'll take your thoughts. Comment below with your thoughts and takes and questions and comments and all of those great things. Let's shift gears here and talk a little Texas baseball. For just the second time in my 31 years on this earth, the Texas Longhorns will play a baseball game in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's the Horns and it's the Hogs, a rivalry renewed, and it gets going tonight. We will preview game 1 of this huge 3-game series coming up next right here on Locked On Longhorns. But first, a word for our friends at Monarch Money, today's video sponsor and episode sponsor. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. Oh, with all the sports going on right now, you're meeting buddies at the bar, you're going out to eat, you're watching everything. Heck, you're buying tickets to go to these events. It adds up. It's easy to lose track of all of your spending. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Monarch Money is your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over all of your finances. This is not just a budgeting app. This is a complete financial command center. So you can track all of your accounts, your investments, your spending in one place. So you can stop just managing your money and you can start actually building wealth. It's so easy to use. Again, get rid of that folder you've got on your phone with like 16 different budgeting apps. No, you don't need that. With Monarch Money, everything is in one place. So you can check your finances, track your spending, even plan long-term goals as well. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, the website, monarchmoney.com. Type in that promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 50% off your first year with our friends at Monarch Money. Welcome back to Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. Final segment of a Thursday show. Let's talk a little Texas baseball, shall we? The Longhorns opening up a 3-game series at Arkansas tonight, 6 o'clock on ESPN2, another nationally televised game. And I'm not just talking SEC Network Plus. You can get those games from anywhere in the country if you pay enough money. Now, this is ESPN2, and you've got the #1 college baseball broadcast team that will be in attendance. Texas had that here in Austin for the A&M series, and now they'll get it in Fayetteville for at least game 1. I think maybe the first 2 games of this 3-game set. It's a big one. It's the first conference matchup between the Horns and the Hogs since 1991, and it's only the second time that Texas has played in Fayetteville since 1991. The Longhorns lead the all-time series against the Hogs 76-39. But there's a lot on the line here. Now, you can't really call it a battle for first place in the SEC because regardless of what happens, Texas is going to be in first place in the SEC. But it is #1 versus #2. Arkansas is tied with LSU for second place right now, 5 games behind Texas. But it is pretty important as the Horns try to wrap up their first SEC championship in school history, and of course the first year in the SEC. And Texas can actually do that this weekend. The Longhorns need to sweep Arkansas, and they need to get plenty of help from around the country. That's a lot to ask for, but it could happen. The magic number is 5, so I'm sure folks will be paying attention to that. But even if things go horrifically wrong these next 3 days, Texas will still be in first place in the conference. Of course, we're not thinking horrifically wrong here, but it's kind of nice that Texas has put themselves in this position. I'm thinking more about keeping this 10-game win streak alive and keeping the undefeated series streak intact. Won't be easy, though. Arkansas, a great team. They're 37-9 on the year, ranked 11th in the country. This Arkansas team was #1 in America 3 weeks ago. They were 1 and Texas was 2. And, well, these 2 teams have been trending in opposite directions. The Longhorns continue to ball. Arkansas is reeling. They've lost 3 straight conference series for the first time since 2016. Georgia, Florida, and A&M all got them. By the way, the last 3 series of the year for the Hogs, Texas, obviously starting tonight, at LSU, and then Tennessee. Doesn't get any easier for Arky moving forward. Maybe this is a good time for Texas to get him. Again, Arkansas in a bit of a rut right now. Texas, the exact opposite of that. Now, you do know Arkansas is going to be playing with some desperation, and you do know it's going to be a crazy crowd. Look, the Hogs are a tough team to beat at home anyways. They are 27-3 at Ball and Walker this year, and they have won 24 of their last 26 home weekend series. Now, they just lost one to A&M a couple of weeks ago. So, again, maybe they're vulnerable right now. But that has been a tough team to beat in Fayetteville. Ball and Walker's a beautiful ballpark. They always bring out the fans. That place holds close to 11,000. They're going to pack 13, 14, 15,000, I think, for the next 3 days in this series because y'all know how much they hate Texas. I mean, Sam Pittman, their football coach, said it at SEC Media Days last year. They might hate Texas more than they love themselves. So it's been a long time since these teams have played a series in Fayetteville. Yeah, the Hogs are going to be hungry. And again, they're desperate after the way they've been playing as of late. Despite the struggles, again, Arkansas, number 11 in the country, second place in the SEC. Their offense is really good. That's their strength. They've got the best batting average in the league. They've got better offensive numbers than Texas does. But where Texas has shown, whatever the word is this year, is on the mound. The Longhorns have the best ERA and opponent batting average in the SEC by far. Texas has a team ERA of 2.98. Second place in that category, LSU, 4.23. That's almost a full run and a half more than second place. The Longhorn pitching staff has been great. Ruger Riojas gets the ball tonight. His second straight series opening start. Did a phenomenal job replacing the injured Jared Spencer in game one against the Aggies. 5 2/3 scoreless innings last Friday in that one. Luke Harrison tomorrow, Jason Flores on Saturday. Now, Arkansas's coach, Dave Van Horn, has been trying to downplay this rivalry. He's been saying things like, it's just another game. Every game counts the same. He said, quote, they're just like Tennessee. They wear orange and it's just another series. We've got LSU next weekend. I mean, what's the difference? It's really for the fans, end quote. BS. Fanabla, buddy. This is more than that. Us fans already know that. These Texas players and coaches, if they don't already know it, they're going to find out really quickly. And I'm talking like before the game. As soon as Texas gets to the ballpark, hell, as soon as they get to Fayetteville, they're going to be Hogs fans talking trash and throwing stuff at them. And it's going to be mean. It's going to be vulgar. And it's a test unlike anything the Longhorns have faced this year. Texas 3-0 in 3 road series. They're 8-1 in true road games in conference play. But Mississippi State, Kentucky, Missouri, number one, those teams aren't as good as Arkansas. Number two, those fan bases don't hate Texas as much as Arkansas. So it's going to be hostile for the Longhorns. I think they've passed every test. They can lose this series. I still think they're the best team in the country. But if they win this series, that's just another positive sign that this Texas baseball team is special. And any doubters that are still out there for Texas baseball can be shut up if the Longhorns go out and win a road series against a really, really good team, because that's the one thing they haven't really done yet this year. They've beaten great teams, but most of the great teams they've played have been in the friendly confines of UFCU Disch-Falk Field. 6 o'clock tonight, we will recap game one tomorrow and preview the rest of the series. We'll have more Texas football conversation on tomorrow's show as well, but that's going to do it for today. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you made it this far, please like, please leave a comment, please subscribe, please rate 5 stars, all of those great things. And again, thank you so much for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day. For your next listen, be sure to check out Locked On Portal. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings from around the country, so you can be the most informed fan on the rapid changes happening in the college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Till next time, horns up, mic's off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns.